Check. Episode 335 of the show radio. Thanks for downloading. I don't even know what to say with that.
Welcome to the show radio. And now, here is your host, Andrew Alliance.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the show radio. This is episode 335. I'm your host, Andrew, and this is your source for tech, gaming, and entertainment news. Head over to theshowradio.info. Once again, that's theshowradio.info, and check out my past shows there. While you're there, subscribe and tell a friend about the show. The show is on iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and Google Play. And always, I appreciate your support. I appreciate you downloading the show. This particular episode, going to catch up on some news. Definitely some tech, gaming, and entertainment news. Also got some life hacks I definitely want to share with you in this particular episode. And also where I'm spending my time. I guess I can just jump right into that. Lately, I've been on Instagram and YouTube doing some content there, trying to learn this amateur photography thing that I am an amateur. I'm trying to get better at it, so bear with me. But definitely posting some content on YouTube, some original native content on YouTube, as well as some content on the platform that we call Instagram. So definitely having some fun with that. As far as Twitter, I'm on there. If you at me at Uriah, which is spelled Uriya, I'll definitely answer. I almost forgot that. Uriya. That is my Twitter. So definitely consider hitting me up there. But just excited to record and share some information with you as I'm thinking out loud. Definitely really focusing on this Instagram and this YouTube thing right now. It sounded like I was from the islands just a second ago, and I am. But yeah. So that's what's going on right now. Definitely want to share that with you. And let's get to the news right after the break. This podcast is brought to you by ProXPN. ProXPN is a VPN service that secures your internet connection against eavesdropping, hides your location, and allows you to access your favorite sites no matter where you live or travel to. With it, no one can see the websites you visit or track your online activity. Check out theshowradio.info/ProXPN and use the promo code SHORAM for 20% off of the lifetime of your account. This podcast is also brought to you by Audible.com. Audible has over 180,000 plus audiobooks to choose from. Get your first audiobook free with a 30-day trial. Check out theshowradio.info/audiobook for your 30-day trial. All right, so let's talk about Kodi for a second. Kodi is a free and open source media player software application developed by the XBMC Foundation. Article in How to Geek makes a case for the player being clean or not associated with piracy. BBC called it a piracy epidemic, while Birmingham Mail says if you use it, you might get a scary letter. Kodi not only comes packaged with set-top boxes, which may be deemed questionable, but the software can be customized to add multiple sources of media that didn't originally come with the software. While there's a remnant who enjoys the open source software on a Fire Stick, others may enjoy it on a PC with the same benefits or lack thereof. So what is the deal with Kodi? Is it clean? Is it unclean? So just getting back to the original version of the software, XBMC, when I used to have it on the Xbox, the original Xbox back in the day, I used to use that particular software to access my local media. But that's not all individuals use it for. So it isn't a surprise to me that Kodi is trying to make a case for it being clean or unclean, because once you get the software, there is pretty much a basic media player at your disposal. What may make the software unclean is what you end up accessing with the actual software. If you're watching, let's say, Logan, which is technically not out yet, but you're watching Logan right now on your either Fire Stick or whatever you're using with Kodi, that may deem the software unclean because you took the time to install some repositories that have names similar to names that you'd find in the Bible, whether it's Genesis or Exodus or whatever the names are for those particular things. So now you have access to things that you didn't have access to before. So not only you have access to your own personal media, now you have access to other media that you didn't have before, which makes the software unclean. So in the past couple of months, as far as I can remember, as far as I can see, Kodi has been making strides to make sure that what the BBC said about it being a piracy epidemic, or the different things that the Birmingham Mail had to say about it, as far as depending on how you use it, especially if you're watching cable channels that you're supposed to be paying for and you're not because you're using certain repositories that is allowing you to do that with Kodi. Now your Kodi media player is unclean. So for the past couple of months, it's been their mission to make sure that when you get the Kodi software, the open source software media player, you're getting a clean software. You're getting a clean software. What you decide to do with that afterwards may make the software clean or unclean. Another thing I realized also when I was reading the How to Geek article, which I'll have in the show notes, is they made a case that Google Chrome can be deemed unclean because of all the different things you can access to it by just typing a few things and adding the word torrent or streaming or anything like that behind whatever you put into the Google search. So that I thought that was very, very interesting, where they're doing a comparison or contrast between Kodi and Google Chrome. So definitely interesting things. Definitely check that out. I'll have the links in the show notes. Read it. Definitely let me know what you think about that. And let's see what else we have for news. So Netflix getting Castlevania anime. Looking forward to that. According to a new report by a nonprofit Common Sense Media, teenagers are now spending 25 times more free time playing video games than watching movies. I'm not sure exactly what that balance is, because I know that my daughter spends more time watching movies than playing games. So the actual balance of that and the sample size, which is just one, and my home is different than what they're actually saying in this particular article by Common Sense Media. If you're familiar with CyanogenMod, which is dead now, Lineage OS is a new thing, so definitely make sure you keep tabs or keep a pulse on that. Google and Amazon are hoping to make Home and Alexa into home phones. Look into that. Open Gaps can now optionally install Google Assistant. Please do that at your own risk. Seagate Fire CUDA HDD. This particular hard drive looks really dope. It's a little bit smaller than the standard hard drive that you'd be able to fit in the actual PlayStation 4. That fits in the PlayStation 4, that being the Seagate Fire CUDA. Going to have a link to that in the show notes. Also, the hard drives most and least likely to fail, according to Backblaze. I'll have that in the show notes. The best Linux distros, I'll have that in the show notes. So this particular episode is going to be all the stuff that I wanted to tell you a long time ago that I couldn't for whatever reason. I was doing whatever I was doing. So I'm actually playing catch up now. So definitely doing that right now. Linux distros, I'm going to have a link for that. The ones you should be looking out for in 2017. And I did see a video that was very interesting. It was talking about if you're confident or arrogant. And it gave you the Conor McGregor example and how he behaves on certain aspects of his life and his career, entertainment career and stuff like that. And it was basically saying contextually, if I could remember, that arrogance sometimes is not based or placed in reality versus being very confident or overconfident in a humble manner. So it was definitely a comparison and contrast between those two things. Great video. Definitely check that out. Would love to hear what you think about that. Let me know. So what else we have? 4 of the best keyboards for writers, 5 of the best WordPress anti-spam plugins, 5 of the best PDF readers for Android, 5 of the best Android video editing apps to create a more professional video. That's going to be in the show notes. 6 of the best LibreOffice extensions you should use. 6 of the best Google Chrome extensions to annotate text on the web. Those things will be in the show notes. Handbrake finally got an upgrade or update, if you will. This happened a couple of weeks ago, give or take, after, I think, 13 years. Finally came out of beta. It is now at version 1.0. Top 10 free alternatives for expensive software. That's going to be in the show notes. I'm in the process of learning how to take pictures and trying to use my phone and figuring out what the golden hour is for whatever certain things. So I'm going to have a link in the show notes to improve your photo shooting skills, and also a free photography, digital photography class from Harvard. That's going to be in the show notes. Wi-Fi versus Ethernet versus 4G. Which one to use, why it matters. That's going to be in the show notes as well. Hulu subscribers soon Not sure how soon, but soon we'll be able to download shows and watch them offline. Netflix already has that feature, so definitely look into that. Privacy Badger 2.0 is a privacy protection powerhouse for the web. If you are not currently using it, definitely consider using that. If you're looking for a software to cut video, VidCutter is a free open source app you can use to trim your videos. And I'm doing a lot of video stuff now on YouTube, and I'm going to I have a couple of more videos that I'm thinking about doing in the near future. So looking forward to doing that. Looking forward to doing a better presentation with the videos and stuff like that. So I'm learning, and you're watching me learn on the fly. But the thing I really like about the video process is, once you press that record button, it is what it is. Whatever you want to hide, you won't be able to hide it at that point, because now that red light is flashing, you're on, you're talking about whatever you're talking about, whether it's how to figure out what's slowing down your computer or how to build the ultimate movie and music server, whatever you're talking about, it's out there and your face is on the camera and you just have to deal with it. And the thing is, what I like about it too is when I watch other videos, or other people's videos, it shows me what I should be doing, right? So I'm like, okay, I should be recording video. Why am I not doing that? So now I have to find a place in my studio to set up to actually do that. But at the same time, I have to find a place within myself to ask and answer that question. Why are you not shooting video? So once I finally got that answer, which an answer that's still a work in progress, because it could be considered tough, right? I'm shy, whatever, so we have all these different reasons why we're not doing that particular thing. But what I realize is the more you do it, the easier it gets in the context of exactly what we're talking about right now, which is video. So I'm finding a little bit easier to get ready to do it, because as I prepare, it seems like between 1 or 2 takes, I'm good. I don't necessarily do a lot of jump cutting, which is, cutting stuff. If you're not familiar with the video lingo, you cut and it pushes what you just cut to the other piece. So now you jump cut. That's what that is, right? So now I don't do a lot of jump cutting. I try to do a 1 or 2 takes. And even some of the mistakes I leave in, because I'm not trying to be perfect. I just want the video to be recorded and my points to be made in the video, and then close it out, whatever. So why are you not doing that? Why are you not shooting video? You should consider doing that, because it is going to change the way you look at things. It's changing the way I look at things right now. It's pretty intense, but I definitely really appreciate it. So that's what's going on there. Definitely consider those things, and those things are in my show notes. How to figure out what's slowing down your computer. I wasn't just saying that, as well as how to build the ultimate movie and music server. That's in the show notes as well. So video game news. Let's talk about that a little bit. So right now, I'm in the PS4 beta software, and it's going well. I think that's as much as I could say about it right now. So next thing is Sony drops PlayStation Now support for PS3 and Vita. That's going to happen, I believe, August 15th of 2017. So that's when they're going to shut that down, and their focus is going to be PS4 and PC only. So look for that, or keep a pulse on that. Drawn to Death, the shooter, the stylized shooter from David Jaffe, that whole crew, that whole team, that's coming out on PS4 on April 4th. PewDiePie gets dropped from Disney. Okay, so PewDiePie gets dropped from Disney between August of 2016 and now. He put out 20, I'm thinking 20 something else. 20, I'm thinking devs for the layouts for Activision. He put out 9 videos related to anti-Semitic things and jokes that were inappropriate. One of them said something to the effect, "Death to all Jews," or whatever. So they dropped him. Disney dropped him, and YouTube is distancing themselves away from the guy, the comedian, the 53 million subscriber YouTube guy, the number one YouTube guy with all the subscribers basically on YouTube, PewDiePie, right? So now I definitely recorded a video. The video will be linked in the show notes and all that. So basically I made a case for he was wrong, but at the same time, here's the other part that came to me a little bit after when I was thinking about it some more. So he was wrong. He should have known that wasn't appropriate, especially when you're going to start linking yourself with companies. And I'm sure you sat down, you did the contract thing, and within the contract, there's certain things that, you understood before leaving the table, right? So now that's one thing. So I'm sure he understood those things. But my thing is, how could you record 9 videos since August of 2016 and nobody mentioned to you that you were just ODing, you know? 1, and you were joking around, cool. 2, it's okay, what's going on right now? 3, it's being a little excessive. 7, then till you get to 9. So I don't even understand that whole thing. So now that's one thing. So Disney is wrong as well, okay? So that's really the balance on the other side. Disney is wrong because Disney should have done a SWOT analysis to analyze if they were going to have a great partnership based on what they already knew and studied and scouted on PewDiePie. So if you're Disney, as big as a company that you are, I'm sure you did your homework on the guy, right? I'm sure you understand that he's a comedian, and comedians do tell jokes that are far reaching, and it makes a lot of individuals very, very uncomfortable. I'm sure somebody in the Disney scouting, recruiting team, business development, influencer development, partnership stuff had to know that this is who PewDiePie is, and this is the kind of content that he records on video. So how do you not know that? Right? So then you have the other side to that. So definitely check out that video. Let me know what you think. Definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. That'd be absolutely amazing. I'd really, 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 really appreciate it. So the next thing is, when I was mentioning the 20 that had nothing to do with PewDiePie, is Activision lays off 5% of its staff. These are the news that's recently buzzing and causing a lot of craziness, aside from the Charles Oakley thing and the Garden. And now he's back and he can actually attend the Garden again, which is a whole nother thing that I don't even have in my notes, but I definitely want to mention that. But Activision lays off 5% of its staff. 20 of them were devs. And what's great about that is, usually when you see stuff like this, not the fact that they got laid off, there's usually great projects that come out of the individuals that are going in a new direction because the company is going in a new direction, right? So obviously, shout outs to the entire team, best wishes to their families and that they bounce back quick, all the best to them and all that. But there's going to be some awesome independent projects that usually come out, whether they collaborate with that 20, 4 or 5 of them get together and do their own thing. But typically there's some awesome projects that come out of that. So I mentioned that in a video I recorded on YouTube. Definitely check that out. Link to that will be in the show notes. Next thing I have is E3 2017 open to the public. 15,000 tickets now available for sale. It's not 15,000 anymore because they opened that on Valentine's Day, which is February 14th. So now, whatever amount they have left is what they have left. Media registration is also open right now. As far as me going to E3 2017, not sure yet. I usually don't find out between, very, very closer to the actual event itself. So I'm not sure, but definitely 15,000 tickets. And then other conversations, I guess, as I'm thinking about surrounding this, is the fact that, okay, so here we have 15,000 tickets available to the public. Consumers are going to be on the show floor. That's going to kind of mess up with the media guys and gals is going to be trying to attend their appointments and stuff like that. So yes and no. It may mess with it. It may not mess with it depending on how it's done. But another thing too, you realize is a lot of the companies are doing stuff away from the convention center. So the press and the media who's going to cover the event, not sheer excitement. Yeah, we're finally at E3 because it's open to the public. But yeah, I have an appointment and I can actually go to it in peace because I'm not worrying about all the consumers and all the individuals on the show floor. So that's not going to mess with me getting to the events, the appointments that I scheduled way in advance, right? And I can get to those things with no problem. I typically, when I do my interviews, I do them like live and I have the mic in front of me and I'm like, hey, are you ready to go? That's how I do it on the show floor. So that's my way of doing it. I feel it's more organic. It's less rehearsed. It's not, the speech that they have ready for you to tell you about the game. I try to take them out of the pocket a little bit when I do that in regards to how I do my interviews on the show floor. I've been blessed to go to E3 the last 3 years, and I'm glad I went at least one time. That's how I feel about it right now. So the next thing I have is how to interview guests. That's another video I have on my YouTube page. So I've been trying to, kick out and crank out these videos the last couple of days and stuff like that. So I have the kind of format of how you interview guests or how I interview guests or the format, the skeleton format that I use. Typically, it goes something like this. What's the last 24 to 40 hours? What you've been up to, what you've been doing. Then I ask them about who they are. I ask them, who are you, Joe? And then Joe will tell me who he is. And sometimes Joe will tell me who he is based on his job. Or Joe will tell me who he is based on his skill sets, right? Or Joe will tell me who he is from a philosophical standpoint, okay? Or Joe may not even want to tell me who he is because he doesn't even know who he is or how he defines himself because he doesn't know. Right. So I have to have a conversation with Joe to figure out, Joe, who are you, man? I mean, I need you to tell me so I can have the listeners listen to who you are so we can kind of get, this conversation going. Who are you? But another thing, too, even before we get to the 24 to 48 hour, what you've been up to kind of question, I usually vet out everything that I'm going to talk about and ask them if there's anything specifically they want me to mention in a particular interview before we go into it, right? So that's kind of my vetting out process, pre-chat stuff. I do that. So you go from 24 to 48 hours, who are you, what you do, that kind of a thing. Then, what trials, you've been into, how did you overcome those trials and current projects, future projects, any soapbox moments that you want to just, vent because nobody gives you the opportunity to vent because this is your platform right now, Joe. So take the opportunity to enjoy, this platform because I'm going to let you talk about whatever you're going to talk about. And Joe, please understand that you're going to do 90% of the talking on this episode. And I'm going to do 10%, if that, because you're the guest, Joe. So I shouldn't be doing most of the talking anyway, right? So that's pretty much how that works. So once I get that out of the way, they feel very, very comfortable. They like this guy, Andrew. They want to come back on the show. Now they invite themselves because, I gave them an outlet to be who they are without judgment and those kind of things. So that's pretty much the interview skeleton process that I use. Typically works out really, really well. And if I need to adjust it based on what's happening with the conversation, I definitely adjust it and let it ride because it's not about the format. It's about having a great conversation with the individual who actually comes on the show. So that's what's going on there. So a couple of things, and then we're going to get out of here. Free multiplayer week on PS4 that begins on February 17th and ends on the 23rd. So look for that. If you don't have a PSN right now, definitely look forward to that week, the 17th of February through the 23rd. So that is coming up really, really soon. And last but not least, something that made me really, really upset. I'm not going to go into it as much as I because it's going to make me upset if I think about it, is the fact that some of the best weapons I used to use in Destiny has been nerfed. And I'm really, really upset about that. I'm trying not to think about it, but it is news, so I need to mention it. So my grasp of Malak, and man, I'm going to miss the way it did its thing. And I'm just upset. And then also the Clever Dragon, one of the best weapons in the game. As far as the pulse rifle is concerned, that's been nerfed. The shotguns have been nerfed. What's back in the meta, if you will, is the assault rifles. They seem to be, they got a buff across the whole thing. What else happened? The sniper rifles stay pretty much the same. You don't get, if you lose special ammo, I think it takes 60 seconds to respawn or something like that. So they did a little adjustment there, among other things, but I really don't care about all that other stuff. They nerfed my Clever Dragon and my Grasp of Malak. But I guess there's some positive news on the other side of that. The positive news, or the ray of hope, if you will, if I had that, is the slower shooting pulse rifles has a DPS increase, I think. So that should be fun. So the Parthian shot, those kind of slow shooting weapons or pulse rifles, that should be fun for me to go into that on the week. That's going to be free multiplayer week. Since I don't have PSN right now and I need to get it, I need to renew my thing. That's the week of the 17th through the 23rd. So that's it. That's all I have for this particular episode of the show radio. This is episode 335, right? I think that's what it is, 335. The show is on iTunes, Android, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Google Play. YouTube has an archive, not current episodes, but there's definitely an archive of past episodes. If you're a YouTube-only person and you're thinking about the show and to come over here to the podcast section, however you do that, let me know. Subscribe with your favorite podcast app and share it with your friends. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
You're listening to The Show Radio. Visit our blog at theshowradio.info. Subscribe and rate us on iTunes at theshowradio.info/iTunes. theshowradio.info/iTunes.